the night she ran. The moonlight spilled across the cold marble floors of the royal palace, silvering the edges of the silk curtains and golden vases as if blessing them for the last time. Princess Evelyn gripped the edge of her cloak, her heart beating like war drums beneath her ribcage. She didn't look back. She couldn't. The wedding was in a few hours. To a prince she barely knew. A match made for kingdoms, not hearts. With swift, silent steps, she slipped past the guards, out the servant tunnels she'd learned as a child. The cool night air hit her face like freedom. The forest beyond the palace walls opened like a dark mouth and she ran into it with a reckless kind of hope. But freedom isn't always kind. In the shadows of the dark Root Mountains, a man stood cloaked in black, leaning against a tree as if he'd been expecting her. His smirk could slice glass, and his crimson eyes gleamed under his hood. "Running away from your perfect little crown, princess?" he asked, his voice smooth, dangerous, almost amused. Evelyn's steps faltered. "Who are you?" He pushed off the tree and stepped closer. "Some call me the villain of this kingdom. I prefer Kale." She reached for the dagger hidden in her cloak. He raised an eyebrow. "Cute. But you won't win. What do you want from me?" Kale smiled, and for a second, the wind held its breath. "Nothing, yet. But I think fate just gave me the perfect bargaining chip." And as lightning cracked behind them and thunder shook the sky, Evelyn realized her escape had only just begun. Chapter 2, The Villain's Den. Evelyn expected chains. A cold dungeon. Cruel laughter echoing against stone. But instead, she found herself in a high-ceilinged hall carved into the mountain, lit by flickering lanterns that cast a warm golden glow on walls of obsidian and crystal. It was eerie, yes, but beautiful. Silent. Controlled. Like him. Kale walked ahead without looking back, his cloak swaying with each purposeful step. "Is this where you keep your captured royalty?" Evelyn asked, lifting her chin, trying to sound braver than she felt. He stopped just outside a carved door and glanced at her, expression unreadable. "This is where I live." "And me?" "You're not a prisoner," he said flatly. "Unless you plan to pull that dagger on me again." She lowered her hand instinctively, surprised he even noticed the blade still strapped beneath her cloak. Kale opened the door. Inside was a modest yet elegant chamber, a bed, a vanity, a window carved into the mountain wall overlooking the forest far below. A fire was already burning in the hearth. "I'm not going to lock you in," he said, turning to her. "But I'd suggest staying inside after dark. This place has more dangerous things than me." She hesitated in the doorway. "And why are you helping me?" His eyes darkened, but not with lust, something deeper. Something buried. "Maybe I just like seeing royalty fall apart." She stared at him, expecting that sharp grin again, but it never came. He simply stepped back, letting her choose. Evelyn walked in. Kale gave a nod, pulled the door gently shut, and left her alone. Inside the room, Evelyn's hand trembled as she peeled off her soaked cloak. She was free, but in the hands of a man the kingdom branded a monster. And yet, he hadn't touched her. Hadn't mocked or caged her. He had respected her space. That made him even more dangerous. As Evelyn sank into the edge of the bed, she realized something unsettling. Maybe, just maybe, she wasn't afraid of Kale. She was afraid of what might happen if she started trusting him. Chapter 3, The Villain's Rules. Days bled into weeks. Evelyn found herself falling into a strange rhythm in Kale's lair. The cold stone walls didn't feel so cold anymore. The once silent halls now held her quiet humming. And the man she feared? Well, she still feared him. But in a way that made her blood rush and her breath catch. He was maddeningly calm. Always in control. And that infuriated her. "Do you ever smile?" she snapped one morning as he trained with twin daggers in the courtyard. He didn't glance up. No time for theatrics. Right. All villains must maintain their brooding reputation. Still nothing. Not even a twitch of amusement. She huffed, turning away, lips pouting in frustration. Later that evening, she stomped past his study door on purpose wearing one of the dresses she'd stolen from his own treasury. Red silk. A slit so high it was borderline treason. He didn't say a word. Just followed her with those dark, unreadable eyes. Evelyn pushed again the next morning. This time during breakfast. "This place is dull. You could use a chandelier. Maybe some wine. Or a pet cat. Something warm." Cale set his fork down slowly. "You forget where you are." She arched a brow. "And where exactly is that?" "In my world," he said, voice low and smooth, "where spoiled little princesses don't bite the hand that keeps them from being dragged back to a crown they never wanted." His words landed like a thunderclap in the quiet dining hall. Her cheeks flushed, but not just from embarrassment. He stood, walked slowly to her side of the table, then leaned down just enough to let his voice brush against her ear. "You think I'm ignoring you, Evelyn?" His fingers traced the edge of her chair. "But if I ever lose my patience, you'll know exactly whose territory you're playing in." Her breath hitched. He pulled back before she could respond, dark eyes glinting. "Eat. And don't wear red when you're trying to pretend you don't want my attention." Then he left, leaving Evelyn seething, blushing, and more confused than ever. Because he was right. She did want his attention. And the villain knew it. Chapter 4, Into the Dark. Evelyn stared at her reflection in the rippling water of the courtyard fountain. "You're in my world." His words echoed in her mind again and again. And he was right. She was the outsider here. A runaway, a brat, a burden. Maybe even an ungrateful guest who had been nothing but thorns to the man who despite everything hadn't once hurt her. And that stung more than anything. That night, when the lair quieted and Cale remained in his war room, Evelyn dressed silently. No red silk this time. Just a dark cloak and soft boots. She left no note. No sound. Just her scent lingering faintly in the air. The forest was merciless. Thorns scratched her arms. Her cloak tangled in branches. The cold cut into her skin like regret. She didn't know how far she'd gone before her knees gave out near the edge of a cliff. Below her was a black chasm of nothingness. She thought of the life she had fled, an arranged marriage to a heartless prince. A crown she never wanted. And now here, a villain's home where she had mocked the only person who had let her lie freely. Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't belong anywhere, did I?" She took a step toward the edge. "Evelyn." The voice stopped her heart. She turned sharply and there he was. Cale stood between trees like a shadow rising from the roots of the world, his cloak billowing, hair wild, and fury burning in his eyes. But beneath that fury, fear. Real. Raw. Fear. "Don't you ever," he growled, striding forward, "ever walk into these woods alone again." Her voice cracked. "I wasn't coming back." The silence that followed was louder than any scream. He closed the distance between them in a breath and grabbed her arms firm but not rough. His grip trembled. "You think I'd let you just vanish?" he hissed. "You think I haven't lost enough?" She didn't speak. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks. His forehead pressed against hers. "I don't care what world you came from. You're mine now. And you don't get to decide when your story ends." For the first time, she didn't fight him. Didn't banter. Didn't mock. She just collapsed into his chest, and he held her like something precious and broken.